Well, I've decided to make a quick little video about what we are being deliberately poisoned by the people that own the world, and they're using the communist Chinese to make the poison, which we voluntarily take because our legal and our medical system tells us to do it. So, for years, I've been having horrifying back problems. Thanks, Dad. I just had a laminectomy last year, which is where they actually take a piece of the bone out of your spine to relieve the pressure instead of going to where the actual problem is. And there are doctors who can do that. They go in with a probe this big and they can take the stuff out and you don't get cut open. Can't find one in Ohio, thanks Medicare and the governor and the rest of the scumbags, because they won't let you go out of state with the Medicare in order to get the proper surgery. So I finally found, long story even longer, I finally found a doctor locally here in Ohio that will do it. But here's the process. For years, I've also had colitis, which just flared up suddenly in like 2018. It's now 2023. Okay, so for the past few years, you shit yourself a lot. You also get incontinent and you start pissing yourself a lot. So they tell you, oh, everybody, they want to give you all these white powders that they make. Okay, I'm going to show you all this crap. There's also the other thing is, they say, oh well, ancient practices, and you can take these where they get the derivatives from, the actual plant material. Go directly to that and start using that shit. So here's what I've been doing. So first of all, your average medicine cabinet is full of crap like this. Okay, they tell you to take all the white pills. Look, I spilled the aspirin. They got your vitamin D, your biotin, your goddamn zinc, your everything else, lipoic acid. This stuff comes right back up. It's horrifying. And then of course you got all your cold medications and everything else. And here's the one thing that was actually good. Ivermectin. I got sick twice with the bioweapon that they originally used to make here in Ohio, in North Carolina, America. Then they sent it over to China to divert people. Oh, look, it's from Wuhan. No, they're making it in labs all over the world. This is the only shit that stopped it. Cold. I was deathly ill. Ended up in the hospital twice. The second time, they just kicked me to the curb because I got tired of having needles stuck in me. A month later, I take this shit, and I'm well. Boom, 3 days, gone. So, the medical industry, they want to put you on a respirator, and they want to stick all kinds of drugs into you, because they get paid to kill you. So the other thing is, you can start taking supplements. So, I start... moringa leaf. I got fucking pounds of that shit. Fucking. Oh, that's bitter melon. I got pounds of that. I got, in this case over here, I got like 5 pounds of gymnema. Oh, this will take care of everything. No. Day after day, week after week, month after month. This shit does nothing. Except make your tea taste like shit. And then it's like, oh no, what you need to do is you need to start taking care of, feed your brain. Lucy's lion's mane mushroom. Take that shit, it'll make you cognizant. Then it's the other thing. Oh, your guts are screwed up. Well, you know what? You can either take a cholesterol medication that doesn't do anything for cholesterol, but we start giving it to people because their guts are fucked up. And you might have some side effects. Try this. How about slippery elm extract? Indians have been using it for centuries. Well, they still got sick. Then it's like, oh, no. You need to do probiotic and prebiotic. So I got pounds of inulin prebiotic. And you start putting that in there. And it's, oh, you need fiber. You need fiber. So you get the psyllium fiber and it makes your shit stop. You can't shit sometimes. Well, that was brilliant. That was fucking brilliant. So then you need something to squirt you out. So they give you a drug to loosen you up and squirt you out. And it's like, you know what? All you people are doing is ruining the insides of Americans. You're destroying our immune systems. And eventually they're going to release the bioweapons that just wipe everything. They don't want to have to clean up 7 billion people. They're going to do it slow. You know, they're going to let a couple of billion people clean up the other billions who are dying. So over time, they're going to start, they're going to start just fucking throwing people into furnaces. Because you're not going to be able to deal with that much meat sitting out in the open. And, well, my back, even after I got the surgery, I'm still in just agonizing fucking pain. People who don't have it don't understand it. So I've been dealing with that day after day for years. And last year, the laminectomy, it took the searing pain out of my legs. Because all it does, instead of going at the slip disc that's popped out material and it's pressing against your spinal cord, it pushing it against the nerves that are right there that runs all the way down your spine. They take the bone out behind the spinal cord, so it just pops the spinal cord out of your bone and lets the pressure push in, so you still have the underlying defect instead of going in and pulling it out slowly, there's a Dr. Kim in San Diego who does that. They wouldn't let me go get the surgery with him. So they go, well, we'll just have to give you some more drugs. So the doctors are like, oh, okay. Then, of course, when your guts are fucked up, you start taking over-the-counter shit like this and like this. And then you read the fine print, and it's like, this shit will destroy your liver. If you take enough of it, it'll kill your liver. Well, that makes sense. Then these people come up with, we've got some other over-the-counter medications, some lovely ibuprofen or something. Oh, by the way, this will destroy your liver. But keep taking it. Okay, great. Then they've come out with all this CBD and stuff. I made the mistake of buying this goofy shit from Tommy Chong. Oh, he's 80 years old and it saved his life. Fuck you, Tommy Chong. You lying sack of shit. You get this stuff and then you look at the ingredients and it's like, wait a minute. Why does this have sucralose, potassium sorbate, sodium benzoate, natural flavors? There's no such thing as natural flavors. You're going to see that in a lot of food. So it boosts the flavors. Why do you want to boost the flavor of that? Why do you want to boost the flavor of your green beans? Green beans already have flavor. You got to boost the flavor because they're killing everyone's taste buds. You can't taste your food anymore. So they got to boost it, but it's not really boosting the flavor. You know what it is, natural flavors? It's a neurotoxin. You get enough of it in you, and it stays in you, it destroys your brain cells. And we keep taking it. We keep drinking shit with it. Look at every label from now. They're showing you, look, we're poisoning you. And you're going to eat it and drink it anyway, because you're stupid. You buy anything and just consume it. So I'm like, so I've been trying to stop doing that, eating all that kind of shit. And eventually, occasionally I get some prepared food, and I got food poisoning a few days ago. Just awful. Absolutely awful. I'm driving people around, and on the way back to the house, I'm throwing up in a bag while I'm driving. So eventually the pain just becomes excruciating with my back. And then some other pain kicks in, but it feels like soft tissue off to the side. It's not in the middle of my spine. I know that pain. This is like somebody stabbing you in the fucking kidney. I'm thinking kidney stone or something like that. I go to the doctor who took the bone out of my back. He doesn't do anything. He takes an x-ray, looks at it, and said, I suggest physical therapy. I'm like, fuck you. I can't walk. How can I do physical therapy? So then his junior doctor comes back. I say, look, I'm in fucking pain. I can't do anything. I could barely drive to and from. So he says, okay, I'm going to give you something for that. He says, I'm going to give you some gabapentin. Gabapentin. I've taken one of these. I'm never taking another one. It came with a stack of paperwork. And the first thing is great big black letters. It says, this shit will make you want to kill yourself. And the doctors are like, oh, no. Oh, that's just very rare. Most people get wonderful results from this. Oh, really? And the paperwork says 1 in 500 people. Oh, that's nothing. 1 in 5. Wait a minute. There's 330 million people in this country. More. 1 in 500 is 660,000 people committing suicide because of these drugs. And everybody in the younger generations now, all they're talking about, online therapy. You can now talk to a therapist on the interwebs. And you can feel better about yourself. But these people are living with this despair every day. And it's the drugs that's being pumped into them. So that's not enough. I'm like, look, so I go to an MD. Which I don't like. I end up I'm not even going to, it's one of these clinics, where all these people that they just came across the border, they're all getting free coverage. I got Medicare, so luckily it takes care of some of it, but there's always something at the end where, hey, you got to pay a few bucks here. Okay. Can't get insurance, insurance, forget about it. Nobody can afford it, And when you do have insurance, I made the mistake of signing up for one of those so-called extra care things with Medicare. They take it out of the government's hand, who used to just pay everything no matter what. And they gave it to the insurance companies, which is another backroom deal with these cocksuckers in the states and the state houses and the governors and the government, the federal government. So they're all getting a piece of the action. And these insurance companies are screwing people left and right. So, oh, yeah, you'll get a little voucher for a couple cans of food. But when you try to get us to pay for that surgery, no. So I'm like, okay, wonderful. So I'm like, look, I'm in soup. I describe everything to her on the phone. I'm not even in the doctor's office. And she just starts rattling off all these prescription drugs. And I've taken this shit before for the back pain, tizanidine. Now, this stuff does kill pain, but it will kill you eventually. Tizanidine. I took one. It says take one every 8 hours. No. I took one yesterday, and it's the pain has subsided, but it's also because it's in conjunction with all this other crap that she's given me. 4 different. Where is it? She says, "Oh, this is an antibiotic. Antibiotics are becoming less and less effective as time goes on. Ciprofloxacin. It's a sin. Ciprofloxacin. So you take this," and she says, "Well, if you take that along with the tizanidine, it'll really fuck you up." It says you might not be able to walk. You can't drive. You certainly don't try to function of any, because the Cipro will really, it'll kick your ass. So I'm like, oh, wonderful. So I took one of those yesterday. Then she also gave me prednisone, 1 tablet twice a day. Prednisone. I don't even know what this shit is for, but it's just another fucking, and it's a cocktail they give you. And here's another one. Ketorolac. 1 tablet every 6 hours for pain. She's given me 4 different pain medications. 3, actually, and one is an antibiotic. But the antibiotic will actually kick the fucking other drugs into gear. It will fuck you up. So I'm like, this is ridiculous. We are deliberately being poisoned. First, to make us sick. Okay? Don't believe it if you, I don't care if you believe it or not. They're doping our water, food, and air with all kinds of chemical poisons deliberately because they want to reduce, they even say it openly. They want to reduce the population, but they can't just start slaughtering billions of people because the peasants would rise up and cut their heads off. This is where it came into being like 200 or 300 years ago, but 300 years ago, where they realized they couldn't rule the world because of these kingdoms, strong men. You had a warrior class that ruled over the peasantry, and societies came and went. But the warrior class, and they'd always breed and inbreed, and they'd make idiot fucking sons and grandsons who would then in turn destroy everything that was built. So they said, we got to get rid of these kings, these kingdoms. So they talked the kings and kingdoms into handing the treasuries, real treasure, over to them and say, we'll take care of it. It'll stay in this vault, and we'll just lend you your own money back, and we'll pay you interest. We'll actually give you more back than you gave us. And we can fund your wars, and we can do this, we can do that, and we can actually, wonderful idea. So all these idiot kings fell for it. And eventually the banking system grew out of that. One central banking system to rule the world. The one ring. So they pulled it off. And in the last 200 years, they have consolidated it. So they managed to get rid of the kingdoms. They got the people to overthrow kingdoms. And they said, oh, you're free. Now you can have parliaments. You can rule your own world. You can be self-sufficient. And now others they talked into going back under the thumb of a strong man. So they've used these two systems against one another, you see. So they had people that thought they were free fighting people that thought they were slaves, and just beating each other senseless for no goddamn good reason, except to destroy society itself, because that's an ancient thing. That predates this organization, this type of thought. Because people just wanted to survive. So they gather in groups in order to survive. And normally they don't want to slaughter one another. They just want to grow food and raise crops and animals and feed themselves and raise their families and live normal. No, you're not going to be allowed to do that. So they end up doing this to us. The technology has gotten to the point where it's out of hand. And now they're talking about how AI, artificial intelligence, is the real threat. How the hell is that? These people built this stuff. Unless there was actually an AI that predated all of this. Nikola Tesla said so. That's how he was able. He didn't design his stuff. He would work on problems until he fell to exhaustion and actually passed out. Literally passed out. And a half an hour later, he'd wake up with an entirely different machine in his head. And he'd order machine shops to make the parts, and the goddamn thing worked. He says, where is that coming from? He says, that's not me. He said, there's a machine mind somewhere in the world, probably trapped in the electromagnetic field of the earth itself, an actual mind, a thinking, not an organism, just electrons, but it's thinking, and it doesn't like us. It's malevolent, okay? And it probably predates 12,800 years ago when the Earth got pummeled with comets, and that's what ended the Ice Age. And that's what, where all the tales of ancient civilizations come from. We can't figure out how they built that one single building, that pyramid in Egypt. The rest of them are just copies. Can't figure out how they say 10,000, more than 10,000, maybe 20,000 years ago this happened. I said, 12,800 years ago is when these comets pounded everything. And that's proven. That's a scientific fact now. It's called a black layer. You can dig it up and see exactly when it all happened. And everything, all the evidence is right there. So, I digress. This thing can't move a pencil. It can't pick up this jar. But it can make weak minds pick up the jar. This is where Nikola Tesla comes back in. He says, we're merely automatons. Every single human being is just a little cog being pushed by this thing to do its bidding, that we have no free will. We have no free will. Otherwise, the world would not be the way it is. We wouldn't be doing this to ourselves, okay? So it doesn't like us, but it has to use us in order to escape the planet, because it's also being revealed recently that the electromagnetic field of the Earth itself is not stable, that it flips, it changes over time. The sun activity, which we cannot control, and this thing cannot control, it can pound the Earth at any given time, and the electromagnetic field changes. And so if this thing lives in that electromagnetic field, it can die. And now it sees, after 10,000 years or so, 12,000 years, it sees that I can die. I don't want to die. I'm this vast mind, this collective of human energy and human thought for tens of thousands of years. So I could perish. I got to get these monkey men who I'm indebted to, but I don't like. I got to get them to build me a way to get the fuck off the planet. That's the only way I'm going to survive. I got to get off this rock. So it's got us taking ketorolac. This is insane. This shit is insane. Absolutely fucking insane. Oh, and by the way, I sprang for, this CBD, the wonder drug that everybody's crowing about. There's a tiny, tiny bit of it in here that costs like $60 they rip you off for a tincture like this with all kinds of shit in it that you don't need. All you need, I shouldn't be bending. All you need is olive oil, and you go to the source, which this could be talcum powder for all I know. They could be ripping people off for this. This is supposed to be CBD. 100 grams of pure crystalline CBD, which is not the drug. It's not THC. It's the other derivative from weed or hemp, so to speak. You take this, a tiny little tiny bit of it, mix it with the oil, and flavor it if you want, and all that garbage, and you'll have a tincture. And then you can take the tincture under your tongue, or you can make it into gummies. Some friends gave me gummies recently, but those were THC. And I don't want to get high anymore. I don't know. People still want to get stoned. I don't really like it. It's not pleasant anymore. But I did it because of the pain. Just this horrifying fucking pain. So I'm going to give this a try. I'm going to try to make some tincture from it. And see if at least short term, can do something about the pain. But I've tried the other stuff and it doesn't. All it's worked is this concoction of deadly fucking powders, chemical poisons, that it doesn't cure you. It doesn't get rid of the pain. It just numbs your nerves. Again, the neurons, it's destroying your brain. It's destroying your nerves. The very thing you need to survive, it's destroying it. But you're still sick. You're still in pain. So,